I brought lunch to my wife's office, and the security guard told me her husband had already picked it up. That moment uncovered a secret apartment, a second life, and a marriage built on 3 years of lies that I never planned to stop by my wife's office that afternoon. It was supposed to be a simple surprise visit, just me, a takeout bag with her favorite pasta, and a moment to brighten her long CEO workday. But the moment I stepped into the lobby of Meridian Technologies, everything shifted. Right at the entrance, a bold sign read, "Authorized personnel only." I walked up to the security desk anyway, smiling politely. "Hey, I'm the CEO's husband," I said, just dropping off her lunch. The guard looked at me and then burst out laughing. "Her husband? Sir, I see her husband every day. He nodded toward the glass doors. Right there." I turned. A man in a perfectly tailored charcoal suit stepped through the lobby like he owned the building. Early 40s. Confident. Polished. Expensive watch catching the light. The kind of guy people automatically look at twice. "Mr. Sterling," the guard called out. "Your wife is still in her 3 o'clock meeting. Should be done soon." Mr. Sterling. Her husband. The man didn't even glance in my direction. He just headed toward the elevators, scrolling casually through his phone, completely unaware that he had just detonated my life. I stood frozen, gripping the warm takeout bag like a fool. 28 years of marriage. 28 years of being Lauren's husband. And here I was, watching another man carry that title without hesitation, without even knowing I existed. My heart wasn't pounding. It was stuttering, skipping beats like it didn't know what to do. I should have marched after him, should have confronted him, should have demanded answers. But instead, something inside me shut down. Maybe it was the guard's tone, so casual, like this was common knowledge. Like I was the only one out of the loop. I forced a smile. "You know what? I think I walked into the wrong building," I said. "I'm actually looking for Gerald Pharmaceuticals." The guard frowned. "But you said you were Mrs. St." I said I'm a friend of the family. "My name's Gerald." Must have mixed things up. I laughed like it was no big deal. Set the food bag on his desk. "Just make sure she gets this. Tell her a family friend stopped by." He shrugged and nodded. And I walked out before my legs could betray how weak they felt. A life I thought I understood. Lauren and I had been married since 1996. We met at 23, two ambitious kids convinced we'd take on the world together. She was the visionary, the career rocket. MBA, corporate ladder, promotions, CEO by 43. I was the anchor, the practical one, the one handling the house, the bills, the retirement accounts, the one cheering for her at every step. She always said I was her foundation, her stability. I believed her. But as I sat in my car in the Meridian Tech parking lot, staring at my own reflection in the windshield, one realization hit me harder than anything else. Maybe I didn't know my wife at all. The first lie I heard without hearing it. I didn't go home. Couldn't. I ended up at a tiny cafe down the street, sitting alone with a black coffee I never touched. At 6:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. "Lauren, working late again. Don't wait up. Love you." I stared at those words. Love you. Did she? Did she ever? Or was I just the man waiting at home? The placeholder, the safety net, the dependable background character she kept around while she lived another life? I typed and deleted a dozen replies before sending. "Okay, lasagna's in the fridge." She responded instantly. "You're the best. See you later." And for the first time in our entire marriage, I didn't believe her. When she came home, Lauren walked into the house at 11:23 p.m. Tired, disheveled, makeup fading, looking exactly like someone who'd had a long day at work. But now I knew better. "How was your day?" I asked calmly. She talked about meetings, presentations, board members. Oh, and how she and Frank spent the afternoon reviewing quarterly projections. Frank, her other husband. I listened, nodded, smiled, pretending everything was still normal. Pretending I didn't feel like a stranger in my own home. Pretending I didn't just watch my life split clean in half. But the pretending didn't last long. Because that night, after she fell asleep, I opened her laptop. And the truth wasn't just waiting for me. It was organized, scheduled, and planned out years in advance that I shouldn't have known her password. But when you live with someone for nearly 3 decades, patterns repeat. Birthdays, old pet names, the year we bought our first house. It only took 3 tries. The laptop unlocked, and with it, the life she'd never intended me to see. Her calendar was the first punch to the stomach. Meetings with FS 3 to 4 times a week. Private dinners labeled as strategy sessions. Weekend retreats at hotels that had nothing to do with business. Every entry stretched back years. Not weeks. Not months. Years. And buried deeper in her files were receipts and itineraries. Different restaurants, different cities, different hotel rooms. All tied to the same initials. I kept scrolling even though each click made me sicker. Emails helped fill in the gaps. She and Frank didn't write anything openly intimate, but they didn't need to. Glad we had time to reconnect. Looking forward to next weekend. Same place, usual reservation. Their entire relationship lived between the lines, like two people who had been hiding so long they'd forgotten what honesty looked like. I closed the laptop and just sat there on the couch, staring into the dark. I wasn't angry yet. Anger requires energy. I felt hollow, like someone had scooped me out from the inside and left only the shell. 28 years, and I never noticed. Or maybe I did notice, but I explained away every sign. The late nights, the weekend conferences, the sudden bursts of stress that never quite matched her schedule. Around 2 in the morning, she stirred in bed. I heard her mumble my name, half asleep. I didn't answer. I just watched her silhouette in the dark, wondering how long she had been lying to me. Wondering if she ever meant any of the things she used to say, that I was her partner, her support, her safe place. She woke early the next morning, rushing through her routine. Briefcase, phone, a quick kiss on my cheek. Big day? I'll be home late. I nodded, pretending nothing had changed. But everything had. An hour after she left, I started packing. Not my clothes. Not my things. Her stories. Every financial statement I could access. Every email that hinted at personal involvement. Every calendar entry they tried to mask as corporate planning. Years of proof carefully organized into folders. I didn't know what I would eventually do with it, but some instinct told me to gather everything before she had the chance to hide it. By noon, I drove to Meridian Technologies and parked across the street. I didn't go inside this time. I just watched. Employees walked in and out, carrying coffees, wearing badges, laughing at jokes I couldn't hear. And all I could think was, everyone in this building probably knows more about my marriage than I do. Frank came out around 3. Same perfect suit. Same confident stride. He got into a black sedan driven by a company chauffeur. He didn't spare a glance for the world around him, like a man who had never faced consequences and never planned to. I sat there, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a double life. One she'd built inside a company where my name, my role in her story, didn't exist at all. When Lauren came home that night, she acted like nothing was wrong. She talked about numbers, decisions, deadlines. I cooked dinner, listened, nodded. She thanked me, kissed my forehead, and went upstairs to shower. And while the water ran, I made a choice. Not to confront her. Not to scream or accuse or demand explanations. No. I walked into my office, opened my laptop, and typed a long email with attachments. Every document, every timestamp, every conflicting entry I'd collected. And I sent it to the one person inside Meridian who had the authority to burn everything down if they chose to. Richard Morrison, the chairman of the board. I didn't write an explanation inside the message. I didn't need to. The files spoke for themselves. And in that moment, I had no idea that the decision I made in the quiet of my study, while my wife hummed in the shower upstairs, would unravel the entire corporation and the marriage I thought I understood. The following morning, my phone buzzed before sunrise. I expected it to be Lauren. Maybe another excuse, another working late message, but instead, I saw a name I hadn't seen in years. Richard Morrison. Just a single line. We need to meet. Today. No greeting. No signature. The kind of message that means the sender is already furious. I stared at it for a long moment. The weight of what I'd done settled over me. I didn't feel guilty. Not exactly. But the reality hit me. This wasn't just going to dismantle my marriage. This was going to shake an entire corporation. By 10 a.m., Richard was sitting in my living room. He didn't waste time with pleasantries. He set his briefcase down, opened the folder I gave him, and began reading. His face hardened with each page, each photo, each financial anomaly. When he finally looked up, his eyes were sharp enough to cut glass. How long has this been going on? 3 years. Maybe more. And you're certain this apartment is being paid for with your joint funds? Yes. The deductions are disguised as business reimbursements, but they never hit the company books. He exhaled, not a sigh, but the kind of controlled breath someone takes before making a decision that will ruin someone else's week or life. Gerald, he said slowly, this isn't just unethical. It's illegal. I didn't respond. What was I supposed to say? I know. Richard closed the folder, his jaw tight. There will be an emergency board session this afternoon. Lauren cannot know about it yet. Frank Sterling will be removed immediately while we begin a forensic audit. If even half of this is accurate, your wife may face criminal charges. Hearing those words, it should have felt satisfying. Justice, revenge, balance. But instead, it felt strangely hollow. This was the woman I had slept beside for nearly 30 years. The woman whose coffee order I could recite from memory. The woman I packed lunches for and comforted through promotions and failures. And yet, I didn't recognize anything about the person described in those documents. When Richard left, the house felt quieter than usual. Cold, even. It took hours before I realized the silence wasn't the house. It was me. Lauren came home around 6:15 p.m. She looked normal, busy, focused, as if her world wasn't about to collapse. Hey, she said, setting her bag down. You look better today. I didn't answer. She talked through dinner, barely noticing my silence. A new contract, a difficult client, a numbers discrepancy she had to resolve. I watched her hands move as she spoke. The same hands that had held mine on our wedding day, hands that had worn the ring I saved a year to afford. Now those hands were building a life with someone else. Sometime after dinner, her phone buzzed. She read the message, and for the first time that evening, a flicker of confusion crossed her face. That's strange, she murmured. Emergency board meeting tomorrow morning. Mandatory. She didn't look scared. She wasn't suspicious. She simply didn't think consequences applied to her. That night, she fell asleep quickly. I didn't sleep at all. At 8 o'clock the next morning, she left for work in a rush, pouring coffee into a travel mug and kissing me goodbye without waiting for my response. By 10 a.m., the board meeting was underway. By noon, Frank Sterling no longer worked at Meridian Technologies. And by 3 p.m., Lauren sent me her first message. We need to talk. Now. I left my phone on silent. When she came home that evening, the front door slammed hard enough to shake the frame. She stood in the kitchen doorway, her hair disheveled, eyes red with fury and humiliation. You did this, she hissed. I know you did. Richard practically said it outright. I stayed seated at the table, hands folded. You destroyed my career. Over what? Some insecurity? Some paranoia? A second apartment, I said calmly. A hidden relationship. 3 years of lies. $500,000 missing. Should I go on? She froze. Not because she was shocked, but because she knew I had evidence. All of it. Gerald, please. She took a step toward me, voice cracking. You could have come to me first. Would you have told me the truth? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Her silence was the confession she never intended to give. I stood, grabbed my keys. Where are you going? She whispered. To breathe, I said. Something I haven't been able to do in years. Please, don't leave. We can fix this. I promise. I paused in the doorway. You didn't try to fix anything for 3 years. Don't start now. Her knees buckled. She dropped into a chair, burying her face in her hands. I walked out. Not because I was angry. Not because I wanted revenge. But because for the first time in a very long time, I chose myself that I checked into a cheap hotel near the airport that night. Nothing fancy, a place with buzzing lights, thin walls, and a view of the parking lot. But it felt like freedom. No whispers. No secrets hiding in drawers. No perfume lingering on the sheets that didn't belong to me. For the first time in years, I slept. The next few days moved fast. Faster than I expected. I hired an attorney, gathered every piece of evidence, and filed for divorce before Lauren could even begin to spin her version of the story. She tried everything. Denial, tears, rage, bargaining, as if cycling through emotions would magically undo the last 3 years of her choices. But the board's investigation only made things worse for her. The apartment, the hidden expenses, the unauthorized restructuring, the favoritism toward Frank. Piece by piece, the world she built with such precision collapsed in on itself. Frank was already gone, escorted out by security the same day the audit started. Lauren was suspended, and within weeks, she was forced to resign. No fanfare. No speeches. No, thank you for your service. Just a cold, formal email sent to employees and a security badge turned in at the front desk. Watching it unfold should have felt satisfying. But vengeance isn't a warm feeling. It's empty, quiet, the kind of quiet that echoes. The divorce wrapped up in 4 months. The judge took one look at the financial records and granted me the house, most of the assets, and a clean break. Lauren kept her car, her clothes, and a future that looked a lot less golden than she imagined. She tried apologizing again the week the divorce finalized. Her voice shook. She said she didn't know why she did what she did. She said Frank was a mistake, a distraction, someone who made her feel alive in ways she couldn't explain. She asked if we could at least stay friends. I told her friends don't destroy each other quietly over the course of 3 years. We haven't spoken since. I sold our house that summer. Too many ghosts in the walls, the kind that didn't wear white sheets but lingered in memories. I bought a condo closer to the lake. Smaller, simpler, a place with nothing hidden beneath floorboards or inside locked drawers. Months passed, then nearly a year. I started going to therapy, started learning how to separate the betrayal from my identity, started dating again, slowly, cautiously, and eventually, someone new came into my life. Someone who didn't know me as Lauren's husband, someone who didn't see me through the lens of what I lost, but who I was becoming. She knows my story, all of it, and she stayed anyway. One morning, 2 years after the divorce, I was making coffee when my phone buzzed with a notification. A message request from Frank Sterling. His words were long, apologetic. He admitted he knew Lauren was married, admitted he ruined his own career, admitted he hurt people he never meant to hurt. He said he hoped I found peace. I read the message twice, then closed it. Some apologies aren't meant to be answered. A few months later, I saw Lauren by chance at a grocery store. She was thinner, older somehow, like the weight of everything she'd built had finally settled onto her shoulders. She looked at me, eyes filled with something between guilt and longing. I nodded politely and kept walking. There was nothing left to say. Today, my mornings are quiet, peaceful. I cook breakfast. I talk to someone who genuinely cares about my day. I walk by the lake. The world feels honest again, not perfect, but real. And every now and then, when I think back on everything that happened, I don't feel anger or sadness anymore. I just feel grateful. Because losing the life I thought I wanted is what finally gave me the life I deserved.